So welcome Stu Langille, CEO and founder of Visually. Thank you very much for joining us at Social Media Matters today.
Thank you.
So why don't you first off kick off by telling us what you do at Visually and what's it all about?
Sure. So Visually is a platform and a marketplace for data visualization infographics. So we bring together the world's largest community of creators, of practitioners who actually create stories out of data.
Okay.
So it's the designers, it's also the journalists, it's script writers, it's data scientists who actually crunch the numbers, it's developers who actually build interactive applications. So we bring all these people together, allow them to showcase their work, provide a distribution platform, but most importantly, we're a production platform.
Okay.
So where you come and actually get this type of specialized content produced. And so we've built a very unique project center in a specific environment, specific technology, IP, that really facilitates the creation of this. It just makes it faster and easier and provides a lot of value for the customers.
Okay, well that sounds quite technical. I mean, could you give maybe just give us an example of something that you've done that we may all know about?
Sure. So there's pieces that you have seen maybe on the Wall Street Journal or in The Economist or in the New York Times, where you open up the site and you'll see maybe potential like hurricane trackers, or you'll see kind of where are the wildfires and an overlay of a map.
Right.
And so we're the ones that take that feed of that input of that data, craft a story for it, and then work with the publishers in presenting something that's beautiful and it's engaging from people.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why do you think that data, the visualization of that data, is so important to content marketing today?
Sure. Well, I think that, my background is a marketer as well, and so, we've seen kind of a different wave in marketing. Content marketing has become so important. And one of the reasons why data is such an integral part of it is because people trust in data. They trust in information. If they trust in the source, if the source is there and the method of collecting the data is sound, and you use other third-party data that's not solely your company data, then you can be seen as a real thought leader, an expert, and you can be seen as bringing news and information to people. So ultimately, content marketing is most successful when you do have news, or you do have something that's really unique that hasn't been shared before. Rather than if it's just a picture that's been shared around a million times, there's nothing really new or compelling about it. And so it's not a catalyst to actually spur like a new trajectory for that content, maybe just carry it on. But when you take data and inject it into that formula, then you get something that people want to share it with their friends because they're seen as a thought leader. They're seen as breaking news. And that's ultimately, I think, what everybody wants to do.
So what do you do then when brands come to you in your company and say, here's some data, make it go viral for me? Well, I'm sure that's you've heard that many times.
Many times.
Yeah,
it happens all the time. And then, so first of all, we like to see the data in what kind of state the data is in, and we like to ask them what are their assumptions that the data will say. So what do they think they want the data to say, and then from what their brand message is and what it wants to say, then we'll go back and look and see if we can validate that story. And from validating that story, we may find new and other interesting data because the people that work in our marketplace are experts, and so they moonlight with other companies. So they could be a data analyst at Google, they could be a data analyst at NASA, they could be a data analyst for the government. And so they have specialized insights into extracting data that your company might not have it, even though that's your data. So we can get other experts to kind of extract that for it. And a lot of times the story that comes out of it is not the story that people want, but the story is, there's another story. And I say it's not that what they want because it just turns out to be not that interesting. But because it has to be somewhat newsworthy and somewhat people are going to care about, right? If your sales spiked 200% last quarter, people don't really care about that. But if you're showing that people's behavior is changing and the broader consumer's behavior is changing because they're using their apps differently on their phone, or they're shopping at different stores downtown as opposed to going to the outlet malls, or something that's, you can show that unique insight, then that might be a better story than what people originally thought of.
What would be your sort of top 3 tips for any brand looking to build good content or a good story with data?
I say first of all, unleash your data. Make your data public. A lot of brands are still afraid to use that data. They're afraid because they're afraid of the privacy issues. They're afraid because they don't think it's interesting, and they're afraid because they don't know how to navigate the internal politics maybe of their company. And so, but that data is a huge treasure trove for stories. So I say, first of all, do the legwork inside your organization to free that data, right? And don't be afraid of the privacy, because there's ways you can be responsible with using that data. Make sure it's anonymous. Make sure that it's not specific enough to identify any specific groups or people. And then have people within your organization, actually within your it's best if it lives within the marketing organization of data, because they'll be able to do the most of it. So if you can transition into that, say, free your data. Secondly, look at the marketing campaigns, the broader campaigns you're going to come out with in the next year. What's the narrative? How are the stories you want to tie into? And then third, let's look at, be consistent. Don't just do one infographic. Don't do one video. Don't do one. Let's look at it from a consistent basis. So let's tell the story different times, different aspects. Let's do one a week, one a month, one every 2 months at least. And so get a consistent audience that you want to build up. Right? Because the audience is not only the audience of your customer, but it's also the audience of the social media companies, the people that are, the top influencers on all the social networks, on Facebook, on Reddit, on, all this, globally, whatever the social network is. So you have to get attention to all of these influencers, right? And it's hard to get it one time, but if they see you consistently putting out good content, then you become a trusted source. You almost become like white labeled.
Right.
Right.
Well, thanks for joining us at Social Media Matters.
Thank you.